been a great summer, but we're kind of pointing towards hunting season. So we got Jack and Stone, been great interns this year. Stone's leaving us soon. What, a week or so?
Yes, sir, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Working hard while they're here. Jack's here for a year, so got more time to pile into him, can back off a little bit. But anyway, making some hidey-holes today. Hidey-hole food plots, one of my favorite things to do. Just kind of flag them out today, start clearing out some brush, whatever we got there, trees, whatever. And a couple of strategies. So there's a ridge you can see right behind this high spot. I like hidey-holes on a high spot because the wind's gonna be more constant. If we're looking right here next to this wood line, this was a bunch of cedars in here we've cut and burned. And if we put it on this side, on a west wind, which is past us, it's got to go through all those oak trees and break the flow up and swirl around, more likely for us to get busted. Deer are gonna go on either side, so a hidey-hole food plot kind of becomes like a pinch point or a bottleneck. Almost like we build a fence here and a fence on the other side. No, it's not 100% like that. And then deer will hidey in or pinch point in to that little food plot. So if we go on the other side, on a day that's going to be what I think is good for hunting, that big strong northern cold front coming in. I know deer move all the time, don't send me all the hate mail. Or a west wind, again this is west, well that hill drops off, so the wind's blowing straight into our tree stand and it's not swirling. It's not going to swirl till it gets past us. So right off the bat, I'm biased to be on the other side. There were cedars on the other side, this little strip of post oaks where we'd cut out too. But we're gonna look at the lay of the land, how rocky it is. This is a broadcast, right? We're planting everything by hand, doing everything by hand. You're gonna be carrying stuff out of there by hand. You get some sweat before he goes back those bulldogs out of him. So get it all out of there to make just a little 40-yard circle. Again, we're making a pinch point, something to get deer in front of us. And we're planting with one of Green Cover's hidey-hole blends because we're stopping deer. We're not growing bigger antlers. We're not growing more turkey posts, although it will be a great strut area, and we harvest a lot of toms out of these hidey-hole food plots. So we're just gonna walk in here. We'll look around this area. It's pretty open. The guys might think, do it on this side, Grant, because there's not as much work. The other side's got more duff in there, but the other side's where I'm leaning right now. This would require a northwest wind to be really favorable, and a northeast wind, and we have fewer days of northeast wind here. And there's a thing online, you can find this, called a wind rose. It's made by the Weather Service, a wind rose. And you can go to the month of October, November, and December and find the most common wind direction in your area. Now this is based on averages. Any one day that wind could blow around the compass. But you're looking at averages when you're planning ahead like this. So you can look at that wind rose and not only see the most common direction, that's one thing. Let's take that deeper, right? We want to be smart hunters. You can see the most common, the wind direction has the highest wind speed. I want some wind. So 10 miles an hour and up is good for me because you get those 5-mile-an-hour winds in a timber setting, it's going to swirl a lot. It'll blow, stop, blow, stop, blow, stop. Your scent goes everywhere. You got a 15-mile-an-hour wind, the deer's still moving, but your scent is likely to be going in one direction. So the wind rose, we'll show a few examples online here. The wind rose is a great tool, but again, that's based on averages. So we'll take a hike, lay something out. Obviously getting enough growth in here that a food plot would grow. Easy to clean up. We could literally cut these cedar skeletons up that a fire hasn't consumed, build us a burn pile out there, and just get rid of this pretty quickly. So this would be easy. This tree's kind of leaning the wrong way. It's leaning towards the opening, right, to get more sun. The crown is much bigger on this side than this side because it's starving for sun. Just another illustration of how important sun is. But hang our stands on the side or something, we could get a stand in here and have a food plot here that would grow. And there's a low gap right there for wind in the canopy for wind to shoot through and push our scent over this way. There's several things working, but here's something that we can't see from here. I know for a fact there's a little pond over the hill here and a big steep creek bottom. So if I'm thinking about hunting in the morning or late afternoon, thermals are gonna pull heavy towards that big valley. And if we're in this stand, late afternoon, deer are more likely to move more closer to dark, right? We see that on our Moultrie app. It peaks up, we get more of a movement closer to dark, right after dark. So that's when we expect to see more deer. And at that time, the air is already changed, the sun's not hitting the ground, air temperature's cooling off, and it's going to be pulled really hard down through there to go to that really steep creek bottom. With that said, this looks great, but thinking about that creek bottom, I'm wondering if right when we think we're going to see deer, even though the predominant wind direction is this way, the thermals may overrule and pull that way. So that's a big negative on this particular spot right here, is that the deer may be coming right when the scent, morning and afternoon, first light, last light, is pulling that way because that really steep. Where on this side, there's another drain over in the Ozark Mountains, right? It's either on top or bottom, but it's much flatter. May not be as strong a thermal action on this side. So we're gonna, think about this a little bit. We'll come back to the cameras in a second with our decision. I wanted y'all to see everything and get your input. If you were hunting here, where would you put it? Not just location or the ease of clearing out a spot, but for approach, hunt, and exit, and think about where your scent is going during peak time for deer movement. We've concluded we're going to check out another spot, which I think is wise, right? My good friend Mr. Terry Hamby always teaches me, go slow to go fast. We're going to go through all this work, hang stands, do a prescribed fire, clear out all this brush. We don't want to sit in the tree and go, gosh, I wish I had it 50 yards over there, which happens often. My good friend Bill Winkie often says, he said this for years, it takes several years to really move that stand to the right spot, which I agree, but I like to think really intensely ahead of time and cut that time down on my learning curve. So we're going to go look at another spot. I want to develop at least 3 new hidey-holes this year here at the Proving Grounds. I want to develop 3 new ones, and I do a lot of walking off season, shed hunting, turkey hunting, whatever. And so I've got some in mind. I want to show the guys another spot. Come on along, show you option 2. My vote, I'm only one vote here today, but my vote is here. Can hunt on either side, can put tree stands on either side. You don't want to build a food plot, go to all this work. I don't want my interns out here working this hard while I'm sitting in air conditioning. Oh, I'm teasing, folks. Go through all this work, you don't want to be able to only hunt it on one wind direction. So when you got, in this oak I picked out over here, has some lateral branches coming off that would be good cover for the primary stand. So you don't want to be up there just, looking like a big old neon sign saying, don't come here, I want to eat you. You want some cover. So I kind of like this area. Let's walk it one more time. We're going to come right along here, right up to the edge of these big oaks. Again, this was an old opening because the canopies are way bigger on this side. Just kind of rain acorns out over the plot. We're taking these cedars off the edge over here just because cedars take out a lot of moisture either off the tree or out of the soil. So we don't want cedars all on the edge of our food plot, or our food plot won't have as much moisture to grow. Right back where we started, there's our tree stand tree with the horizontal limbs. And again, I love this because there are 2 major deer trails cutting through here already. Now, these aren't Iowa deer trails, where they're 4 inches deep in black soil. This is mountain country. We don't have that many deer, and we don't have them that concentrated because for miles that way is all timber. A road or 2 through there. For here to literally miles that way is timber, except for some roads cutting through. So put a green spot in here. Likely something's going to show up. We can approach from this way, approach, hunt, and exit with pretty minimal disturbance, we're going to give up something. We got to play to win right. But we're going to make a trail all the way out to where we would park, so we're coming in quietly. And I'm liking this. I'm liking this a lot. And I think we're not too far from bringing in some steel saws and starting to lay some stuff down and making a hidey-hole food plot. And we're going to keep you posted throughout this entire process, including the hunting season. Not just felling trees, you know, set a GoPro up, do that, and getting them out here, burning the duff. Can burn right in the middle of the plot. That ash can be some nutrition. It's not perfect. It's a little, it's not perfect pH, but it's not bad. And you got to remember, this tree spent X amount of time growing. It's taking nutrients out of the ground. If we haul all that off site, we're taking nutrients that have been collected here for a long time and taking them off site. That's part of logging. It's just part of it. But on little hidey-hole food plots, you can micromanage stuff. So I haven't measured it, but just guessing about 40 yards by 40 yards. This would be a great, I'll be excited to hunt it. And then we're, of course, keep you posted through hunting season. See anything, don't see anything, we'll put a Moultrie on here, monitor what's happening. And I'm excited to get this project started. And we may, I don't know, not guaranteeing, we may have a help name us. Everybody loves naming food plots. Normally I reserve that right for my daughters, but they're both off at SpaceX right now, so I guess they've lost that privilege for just a little bit. So we're going to come up with a name for this plot. Hope you've enjoyed this little tour. I'm going to hang my flag on this one. We got 2 more to lay out. We won't bore you with all the details of all of them, but we'll show them to you during the process, planting and hunting season. I hope you've enjoyed this. And got to remember, this was all field back in the day. The rocks are picked up. These cedars are about the same age. This was a field. I'm sure we could go back on Google Earth or something and see when this was a field in the 50s or something like that. And we're going to restore more of that native habitat, because this would have been a savanna with some openings, not this big closed canopy forest. So what we're doing is restoring some habitat. Wasn't a food plot, but it would have been more open with sun getting to the ground, grasses and forbs growing. And that's all part of the process of enjoying creation. But even more important than that is taking time every day, being intentional. Not just, oh yeah, God's my co-pilot. I'm not talking that. I'm talking about being intentional and seeking the Creator. He's looking for you, and applying His will to your life daily. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.